Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Cool Beans Kitchen. And as you can see, I'm in a different kitchen today because I'm at a friend's house. So we're going to just see what we can do in a foreign kitchen. Yay! So the first question, as always, is what are we gonna make? But I knew that I was coming to a friend's house, so I have an idea already of what do we have. On my way over, I picked up a couple of things. I picked up some bread. So we're going to do something with some bread. Yay! And what else do we have to go with the bread? Ooh, that is a lot of spices. There is a lot of spices over here. I'll have a look through that in a little bit, but let's get some cheese, because cheese and bread, that makes like cheesy bread. Yay! We're gonna make cheesy bread rolls. Cheesy bread rolls. Yay! So I'm gonna get some cheese. Let's see what cheese we have. We have Colby, barbecue sauce, Parmesan, and butter. So all you really need to do to make cheesy bread rolls is have some bread and some cheese and some more cheese and some sort of butter or margarine and maybe some sauce, and I'm going to show you how we're going to make some cheesy bread rolls. Yeah, let's do it! So the first thing you want to do when making cheesy bread rolls is preheat the oven. Now this isn't my usual oven, but it looks fairly straightforward. There's heat from above, heat with a fan, fan with a circle around it, regular fan. Right, so let's go to fan with a circle around it. And let's put the heat up to like, I don't know, 180? Does 180 sound alright? I'll bring it a bit closer so you can see what I've done here. So I've put this one over to, where's the camera? I've put this one over to about 180 on the thing, and I've put this one over to this weird little, it's like a picture of a fan. I don't know, but we're gonna see if that's the right setting for the oven. I haven't used this oven, not my house, so we're just gonna make it up as we go, and hopefully it's all gonna be okay. Which is kind of what we do every episode. Right, let's go make the sandwiches. Okay, so we've got our ingredients. I found some baking paper, which we're going to need for the oven part, and I couldn't find toothpicks, but I managed to get some bamboo skewers. So I guess we're going to use bamboo skewers. That should work out fine, don't worry about it. So we're just going to open that. Right, bamboo skewers. So what we want to do first is prepare our cheese, because the cheese is the main part of the dish. So let's see if we can open this cheese. Looks like it's like a weird cheese bag. It says peel here. So I guess I'm just gonna peel this open. Oh, come on, why doesn't it want to? Oh, there you go. Right, so we're going to make a bunch of these sandwich rolls, cheese rolls. So we're going to grate a bunch of cheese. Like always, is you want to use a good amount of cheese, because cheese is delicious. And if you're watching this show, you probably like cheese. Because if you don't like cheese, I'd be awfully surprised if you're watching my show at this point. Every episode involves cheese. Every single episode has had cheese. So yeah, cheese is, I guess, the standard or the staple of the show. It's not beans, it's cheese. For a show called Cool Beans Kitchen, you'd think I'd cook with beans every episode. No, I'll just cook with cheese every episode. It'll be great. It'll be great! Bad pun. Okay, so we've grated an amount of cheese. Probably just a little bit more cheese. I don't really know how many of these we're going to make, but we've got an entire loaf of bread, so suppose there's no harm in making the whole bunch. So we've got a good amount of cheese in there. Grate some more cheese. Never enough cheese. Cheesy bread rolls, lots of cheese. Right, so we've probably used, I don't know, 1/4 of the block of cheese. Or maybe not even that, maybe just 1/5. It's a good pile of cheese. Very, very nice pile of cheese here. Right, put the grater in the sink. And then I want to close the cheese back up because it belongs to my friend, not me. So I should probably put that away in a moment. Now we're going to want to get an amount of this baking paper, because this is what's going to go in the oven. How does this work? Is there a blade on here somewhere? There you go, there's a blade here. So we're going to pull out some baking paper, and then we're going to use the blade. Is the blade, okay. Right, now we've got some baking paper. Good. Making good progress. We've got baking paper, we've got cheese, we've got bread. That's most of the things we need. However, we're going to want to butter the bread. So we're going to want to grab a knife. So I've got a knife. And we're probably going to want to get another plate to do this on. Where are the plates kept around here? I gotta go and find a plate. I'll be just a moment. Okay, so I found a plate now, so we've got a spare plate. But I also found today's secret ingredient. It's Devon, or luncheon. I use that every episode as well. Surprise! We've got Devon again. Yay, lunch meat. So let's go back to cooking these sandwiches things. Okay, so what we want to do now is take some of the bread. Let's get started on these. These are going to be great. So we're going to take a slice of bread, just one slice. That's all you need. You've got to make sure that these are open too, because we're going to need them in a moment. How do these open? This is messed up. This is not. There you go. Grab out some skewers. Right. So we've got our cheese, we've got our bread, we've got our skewers. It's time to butter some bread. So you take your butter, grab some of that, and then you want to smear the butter across one side of the bread. Now this isn't the most spreadable butter I've ever come across, but it'll be just fine, I'm sure. So you want to try and spread the butter across the bread. We're just going to spread it. Just going to spread it along. You don't even have to get the entire bread, because you'll see in a moment what we're going to do with this. But you want to butter at least 1/2 of one of the breads. So we've got one bread. It's half buttered. It's looking pretty buttery to me. You can see here we've got a mostly buttered bread. You can butter the entire bread if you want, but to save some money, save some butter, you just need to butter it probably two-thirds of the way, just sort of butter across to there. And then what we want to do is you want to flip it over. And now here's where it gets exciting. You want to put a line of cheese. You're going to put some cheese onto the unbuttered third of the bread, okay? We're going to put a bit of cheese. We're going to put a bit more cheese. We're going to throw in a bit of this Parmesan, a bit of fancy Parmesan cheese. If my friend gets upset that I've used all her cheese, I'll have to reimburse her. I'll have to get her some more cheese. And so we've put some cheese. Oh, that one looks a bit funky. Let's get that funky bit out of there. Ooh, put that in the sink. Is this cheese okay? Is it funky? Remember, you can always smell the cheese. It smells fine. It's probably fine. Alright, so we've put a bit of cheese and onto the bread. We're going to take our Devon, right? Remember, we've got this luncheon meat, surprise ingredient and all that. So we're going to take a bit of the Devon, We probably don't need the entire Devon, so it's okay to sort of split it in half. Split the Devon in half. Put a bit of Devon on there too. Yeah, it's okay. And we've got some barbecue sauce. So we're going to, I guess, shake up the bottle. Shake it all around. Shake that barbecue sauce. And then you can just put a little line, put a little bit of a dash of barbecue on there too. Right, now here's where the cheesy rolls become rolls. So you're going to want to have a couple of skewers handy, and you're going to want to kind of fold the bread. You want to sort of roll the bread. So as you can see, the buttery side is now facing out, and that's what you want. And then you stab your skewers or toothpicks. I recommend using toothpicks, but it's an improv show, so we're just going to use skewers, and you put it there on your baking paper. Let's just move this back over there, and there you go. You've got one bread roll. So you do it all again. Grab a piece of bread, grab some of the butter, start buttering one side of the bread. We're just going to do this all again, and then I'm going to cut the camera for a little bit because I'm going to make a bunch of these. And you don't need to see the entire process of me buttering and cheesing and saucing and meating a bunch of different ones. You've probably got the idea already, but I'm just going to do one more just in case. Just walk you through it in case you were distracted for the first one. So you butter the bread, get that bread nice and buttery. The more you butter the bread, the more golden, crunchy, crispy they come out on the other end. So you flip the bread over, you get a nice line of your cheese, and I want to put some of this cheese on here. The cheese is what makes it a cheesy roll. You can do it without the meat, but the meat's just a little bit of an added surprise, if you will, just to make it that much more of a little treat. So we're going to put all of this cheese on here. Looks nice and good. We're going to grab a bit of meat, a little bit of the Devon, a little bit of the luncheon, and a little bit of barbecue sauce, and roll it up and skewer it again. So you roll it up, you just kind of sort of fold it over itself. You just try and roll it. This particular bread I've got, the crust seems to break. That's fine, we're not too fussed about the crust. I only just bought this loaf of bread last night because I knew I'd be doing this today, and it doesn't seem, I thought since it said it was super soft it would be a good one, but it does seem like the crust is just falling apart on there. Alright, so now we've got 2 cheesy rolls. So I'm going to make a whole bunch of these, and then I'm going to take you to the next step of the video. Alright, let's go. So as you can see, I've made 5 already, and I'm working on the 6th one now. But I just thought I'd quickly turn the camera back on for a moment and mention this particular cooking project is a delicious one. It's very easy to, between making the bread rolls, stop and lick your fingers. Now, as delicious as it may be, because you're cooking with cheese and lunch meat and butter, all of the ingredients are technically edible. We could just eat those as they are, but that's not what we're making. And I thought I should probably mention, for hygiene reasons, if you stop and lick your fingers, got to go and wash your hands. I had to just go wash my hands. I always forget to talk about washing your hands before you start cooking any projects. Very important health and safety thing. And I never bring it up because I do it before I start rolling the camera. But this time I had to wash my fingers halfway through. So you got the little wash your fingers, wash your hands, make some bread and eat some hams. Eat some hams. Okay, right, we're going to make some more of these. So here's another quick pro tip for you. If you're using a slice of bread that has some uneven edges, like this one here, where you've got a very flat edge, and then you've got a very funny curved edge. You want the curved edge to be the one that you're going to fold into the center, because the flat edge is easier to skewer and pin all together. If you're trying to skewer an uneven edge, it can tear the bread apart, or it can become difficult, or you don't get that nice roll shape that you're looking for when making your bread roll. So that was a quick pro tip. I'm going to continue making these. I think I'm going to make about 10. So I'm just coming up on the 10th sandwich now. And I remembered another pro tip for you. It's about the placement of the skewers. So you want to make sure you have your skewers ready, in case you get your hands all buttery when you roll up your sandwiches. Because, you know, that'll happen. That happens. You get very, very buttery fingers when you make a dish like this. Very tempting to just lick your fingers and enjoy eating that butter. But what you've got to remember, and what you've got to really focus on, is making your sandwiches. If you get distracted, then you don't end up properly making your sandwiches. So as you can see on this one, I've folded the meat over before I've added the barbecue sauce, because I've noticed on some of them, when I go to start rolling it, the meat becomes a bit of a problem. And also the sun just went away and ruined my lighting. Oh well, whatever. Right, so with the placement of the skewer, you want to aim it as close to the crust as you can, because the closer you get to the crust, the tighter the sandwich will fold shut. Let me show you over here. It's very close on this side and not so close on that side. Now I've closened it a bit, and there you go. The bottom of this one's kind of tearing open, but that should be fine. Now we've got 10 sandwiches, so let's move on. So the next stage is putting the sandwiches into the oven. So I recommend that you use some sort of oven mitt, because if you don't use an oven mitt, you will probably get burned. So we're going to pull out this tray a little bit of a distance, take off the oven mitt, come and grab the sandwiches, just pick up the entire tray of sandwiches. I'm trying to figure out how to pick up this tray of sandwiches. Okay, maybe I can use the plate strategically. This seems like it's going to be a bad idea. How am I supposed to do this? What am I doing? Alright, I'll be right back! Right, so I struggled to pick up the sandwiches because of the cooking paper that I put it on. You don't want your sandwiches to fall off or anything. So what I'm going to try and do is use this big, heavy, wooden chopping board that I've found. A small chopping board would probably do the trick much better, but I couldn't find one of those. So we're going to try and slide these onto here. And try and get them back on the paper all nicely. I probably should have done the entire thing on top of the chopping board in the first place, but I didn't think ahead. I didn't plan ahead on this one. Not properly, apparently, as it turns out. Right. So now that I've got all of these nicely on a big, flat, heavy surface, it's a very, very heavy chopping board, this one. And you want to make sure that you space out your sandwiches a little bit. You don't want them to be touching each other too much. But now that we've got them all here, ready to go, let's go back to the oven. So again, trying this with the oven, you're going to want to put on your oven mitt, open the oven, pull the tray out a distance, possibly pull it out a little bit more. It's probably about far enough. And then we're going to grab our sandwiches. So I've got this big tray of sandwiches, and carefully, without burning myself, we're just going to want to slide these into the oven. Remember, be careful not to burn yourself, because that is done. Nobody wants to be burnt. Right, now I can see that the paper's gotten a bit skewer. So we're just going to straighten these up just a little bit. And great, they're in. They're in the oven. We got there. Go on, in you go. And then we close the oven, we move that out of the way so that we can see them cooking. Now it's just the waiting game of keeping an eye on them. You want to wait for the butter to become golden. You don't want it to be still buttery when it comes out the other end. You want them to be crisp, not burned. You don't want to burn them, but just crisp so that when you eat them, oh, delicious. And you end up with butter all over your fingers. Oh, it's so good. Anyway, so now it's the waiting game. Let's wait for them to cook. Yay! Now, while they're cooking, it's a great chance for you to clean up the kitchen. Especially when it's not your kitchen and it's a friend's kitchen. You don't want her to come home and find the kitchen in a shambles. So just take a brief moment. You don't want to be too long because the sandwiches are cooking and you need to keep an eye on that. But if you have just a brief moment, you can start to sort of clean up the kitchen. You can put the butter away, put the knife in the sink, close up your bread. If you have a barbecue sauce bottle that's like this one, there's like a little twist to seal the cap. You can twist that. Then you go and you put them all back away in the fridge where you found them. Take your cheese, put your cheese away. Now it's basically all cleaned up. We've done it. So we've half cleaned up. We've cleaned up enough. Alright, let's go back to checking on the things. How are they looking? Okay, they're looking alright. Give them a bit more. Let's give them a little bit more, and they'll be ready in no time. Now, when they finish cooking in the oven, if you have them cooking on a nice tray, you can just pull them out. But because I've been cooking them just on that weird baking paper, I thought I need to have a plan for when they're ready. So I found a pair of tongs and a lovely plate. Look at this lovely plate. It's got flowers on it. So when they're ready, I'm going to tong them out one by one, put them on the plate. So that's how you do that. So now we just need to wait for them to be ready. Let's go do it. Yeah! Okay, so they should be ready any moment now. They're not quite, but I do notice something upon watching them cook. Skewers was a bad idea. You want to use toothpicks because the way that I lined them up, as you saw, the skewers were, so you'd have a sandwich roll and then the skewers do it, and then those skewers would sort of lay onto the next sandwich roll. Well, it seems that those are sort of squishing down on the ends of the sandwich rolls, so they might sort of come out a bit misshapen because I guess each one is resting on the other all the way along. So I recommend toothpicks because that way each one is individually contained and they don't put pressure on each other and flatten and shape during the cooking process. So hopefully they'll be ready any moment now. We'll pull them out of the oven and we'll have some great cheesy rolls. Yay! Pew, 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 pew. Okay. Okay, I think they're about ready now. So I'm going to grab my tongs. Actually, I'm going to put on this glove first. I'm going to try and pull them out a little bit. So we can turn the oven off now. It's probably a good idea. And then you pull out the tray just a little bit. And now we can start grabbing up some sandwiches. So you grab it and put it on the plate. They appear to be all stuck together. See, this is why the tongs are okay and good, but the skewers are not so efficient. They're not so effective to use skewers. Right, this particular one seems to have exploded. That's fine. Sometimes they explode. It's okay if they explode. It happens sometimes. So you just want to stick them all on the plate. Simply just trying to get them out of the oven. These two are stuck together. That's fine. And these two are also stuck together. That's fine. Right, so come on, get out of there. Whoa, don't drop the load. Right, so I've got an entire tray of cheesy rolls. I'll show you the next step in just a moment. I gotta take this thing out of here. I gotta. Is this hot? This part's fine, you can touch that with your hands. Right, now I'm going to go throw that in the bin and I'll take you to the next step. So because of the useless way that I did the baking paper, some of the cheese has leaked out into the oven. Now that's not ideal. You do not want that. You don't want little crusty cheese crusts sitting around in your oven. So I'm just going to leave this open so that the heat can come out of there. And when my friend comes home, I can alert her to the situation, because once the oven cools down a little bit, we want to try and get that cheese out of there so that it's not residually remaining next time somebody uses the oven. So, because I don't know how to clean it right this moment, I guess I'm just going to advise my friend, hey, I spilled some cheese in your oven. And she'll figure out whether she's mad or not from there. Okay, on to the next step. Right, so the last step is removing your toothpicks or skewers. You know they're cooked well enough when they remain in a roll shape without the skewers holding them in place. So if it stays like that all by itself, then you've cooked them the right amount. They're now cheesy rolls. So you just pull out all of your skewers, being careful of the ones that are stuck together. And then you end up with a whole little plate of cheesy rolls. So there's 5 on this plate that I've got set aside for my friend. And then I've got 5 on this plate that I'm going to put aside for me. Now, depending on how hot the sandwiches are and whether you use toothpicks or skewers, depends on how hot they are to grab. These have just come out of the oven and they're pretty hot, so I've got to be careful touching some of the skewers. Some of the skewers are quite hot. As you can see, some of the skewers are a bit burnt on one end. So yeah, they turned out to be quite hot indeed. Also, the problem with skewers is that they seem to end up getting little residual bits of guff. You get little bits of delicious, cheesy bits stuck on your skewers. So there you go. That's how you make some cheesy rolls. So I've got 5 here for me, 5 there for a friend, and now I've got a big pile of used skewers to get rid of. Okay. So there you have it. That's how you make your own homemade cheesy rolls. So you can just pick them up and you can just eat them. Just eat them like just eat the whole thing with your hands. It's a delicious little hands meal. So far I think every meal I've made on the show has been a bit of a hands meal. Like pizza slices and burritos and cheesy rolls. But that's okay, because maybe sometime I'll make a slightly classier dish. But no promises. Anyway, thanks for watching Cheesy Rolls. I mean, Casey's Kitchen. Cool Beans Kitchen! Yeah! Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, stay tuned. Tell your grandma, hey grandma, I want you to make me some cheesy rolls. And she's will make them yourself. And now you know how. So enjoy and stay tuned for the next episode of Cool Beans Kitchen. Yeah! Okay, bye!